Hello, everybody. Welcome to this latest edition of Storm Talk. This is Wave 3 meteorologist Brian Good, back with you here with a video blog today. Since we have storms, we'll be tracking later on this afternoon into this evening. I want to give a little more of a detailed breakdown of where things lie so far as we approach the 1 o'clock hour on this Tuesday afternoon and how things are looking for this evening. And then we'll talk about the longer term down the road. First off, let's take you outside on the visible satellite. One of my favorite images. You know, Tom Wills was always a huge fan of the visible satellite, and I'm a huge fan of it as well. It tells the story in so many ways because it's an actual photograph from space. You know, a lot of the satellite images you see on TV weathercast are infrared, and they measure temperatures of the clouds, and it gives you a color to indicate cloud cover. We have to use infrared at night, obviously, because we don't have sunlight. But during the day, if you got the sun, use it. And that's what we're doing today. We're using the actual photograph from space. So you can see the clouds, very broken in nature here. Some altocumulus looks like across the eastern part of Kentucky. I have noticed the cumulus trying to redevelop. These are pretty high up, though, as well in West Kentucky. Nothing really indicating so far that we got cumulus that'll develop into cumulonimbus, which is what we get for thunderstorm activity. But that may develop here in the next few hours. See the cumulus field trying to start to develop now after we've had a cloudy start. Sunshine is breaking back out. Temperatures well into the 80s, and the heat index is over 100 in spots already. We're going to be watching is actually a feature to the west of us, though. This is where I think things get a little more interesting. There's a little bit of a short wave that's moving across areas of Missouri, and the models do indicate as this tracks to the east, it should enhance thunderstorm potential here across areas of Illinois and Missouri, and track it through, almost like a MCS or a mesoscale convective system or a complex of storms. There's a chance that may evolve into that, and that could produce some damaging winds as it aims itself right into, it's pretty much going to line itself up right along southern Indiana and Kentucky for its track if it holds together, and that will be later on this evening. Between now and then, there's a lot of hot air above our heads. As I've always stated, you've got to have cold air above to get thunderstorms to really develop. If you don't have that, then the atmosphere is capped, is what we call it. It's just too warm aloft. You've got to flip the cake upside down, if you will. And there are signs we could get a little bit of cooler air moving in this afternoon from the west. That could be enough to create some thunderstorm activity, but the main cool air is back here in Missouri that'll move in overhead later tonight. That's our best chance to see some thunderstorms. But nevertheless, that's a setup the way things are looking right now. Hazy, hot, and humid. Heat index over 100 degrees. Isolated storms, but our main issue will be this batch here as we head into the evening. So let's time it out. For this afternoon, slight chance for a thunderstorm will begin to pop. Now, the Futurecast and some of our high-res models too are indicating it'll be right along central Kentucky where that cumulus is trying to get going. But anything that develops this afternoon is probably going to struggle to maintain itself very long at all. But that possibility is there. But by the time we get into 6:30 this evening, we should have already seen a reaction of thunderstorms developing back here into Illinois and Missouri. And they could be severe at this point, too. Could even have a watch box issued for this area of Kentucky, if this does materialize the way it looks like it will in the models. Now, if that is the case, then this will keep pushing off to the east. And notice it's got kind of a comma shape to it here. It's trying to develop into a complex, a mesoscale complex of thunderstorms. And if that happens, that would produce a damaging wind threat, especially on the northern flank of that, which would aim itself right along I-64. So we'll watch it carefully and see if this actually does take place or not. Right now, we have his model data to go off of because not much has happened so far. But if that happens, it'll be, notice the clock here at the top, right around 9:30 this evening. This batch of storms would then roll through the area. It's fast moving, though. Move out of here during the overnight. And then as we into Wednesday, I'm really not impressed with storm chances really for Wednesday. The front will still be on top of us. There could be a few storms in southern Kentucky and east of 65, but the dry air is really going to punch in here pretty good for tomorrow. We'll give a chance of storms in the forecast, but I think it will line itself up closer where the front is, mainly east and south. And then as we into Thursday, that cool air really will begin to move in, and we'll really enjoy that as we into Thursday. Real quick, I do want to mention Arthur, Tropical Storm Arthur, the first tropical system of the Atlantic season for 2014. Yesterday, the circulation's right here. You really, to get this thing a full-fledged tropical storm and almost a hurricane, you've got to get these thunderstorms to wrap around the center, become more symmetrical looking. Right now, the main concentration of storms has been on the southern flank, and that's the way it's been since its life so far. But notice the storm's now trying to blossom closer to the center itself, and that's a good sign that it is beginning to strengthen now just east of Daytona Beach. And the models do have forecasted to track to the north very slowly in the next couple of days. And once it gets into the Gulf Stream waters here, it already pretty much is, but it'll get more so into the Gulf Stream here as we head into, I would say, Wednesday and Thursday, just off the Carolina coast. At that point, we could be talking about a hurricane developing, a minimal hurricane, but nevertheless a hurricane, and then it'll track off to the east from that point on. But it's hard to tell if this is going to be a landfalling. This tracking pretty much, I think, is rule that out. But this tracking, yellow, could be the one that may actually happen. It may make some landfall here across the Outer Banks of North Carolina before it curves out. So if you have vacation plans for the July 4th holiday and you got friends or family in Cape Hatteras or even Virginia Beach, the beaches probably are closed, or they will be closed, because it's even though most of the rain and the strongest wind will be offshore, they usually are on the east side of a tropical cyclone. The rip currents will be too dangerous for folks to really get in the water. But pretty rough seas here for the East Coast for the holiday weekend. And what we usually see on the west side of tropical cyclones, what we call substance, where you get more dry air to infiltrate and a lot of sunshine. That is only going to enhance our weather here in Kentucky into the mountains. I think it'll be just beautiful weather, and Arthur is going to help do that. So Arthur actually is going to be a good thing for us when it comes to keeping us dry and pleasant. Bad news, though, for the East Coast when it comes to the rip currents and the rain activity. Now, you can see on the models here as we look at temperature profiles the next 10 days. Here's Arthur again off the Carolina coast for the July 4th holiday. It's keeping that cool air infiltrated over the Ohio Valley. We lose Arthur. The heat tries to build back in, but I still think it's going to be pretty stormy at times here across the Ohio Valley. But at least one of the models here is trying to indicate the heat is going to try to take a firm grip again by the middle of July, and lessen its grip a little bit in the west. Still again, a lot of disagreement on models on that. Some are flipping it the other way around, saying it'll stay kind of stormy and cool here and hot out west. But we'll fine tune that once we get closer. So far, the heat hasn't been the big deal. It's the humidity, and that's what we've been saying since the beginning. The humidity is going to be the big factor this summer season. I almost said winter. This summer season, it's the humidity, not the actual temperature. It's going to be very difficult to get our actual number above the mid-90s this summer. The heat index is going to be our big player, and it will be all the way through August. So that's how it's looking right now. We'll keep an eye on the storms this afternoon and this evening, so make sure to tune in. Start at 5 o'clock, the latest on the radar views as we time out the thunderstorm chances. Have a good day.